Welcome in to another episode of Betting the Pitch. I'm your host, the real underscore G Warner. It is Tuesday, January 31st. And what a surprise. We have midweek matches. We have the Carabao or EFL Cup semifinals, second leg in England. La Liga has a couple makeup matches, I think, because they sold their life away for blood money in Saudi Arabia. Coppa Italia we have, I think, the quarterfinals. We have some DFB Pokal finally back in Germany, and Liga for some reason playing midweek matches despite playing all the way through the end of Sunday. Everything's playing on Wednesday in France. I think because they play the Coupe de France on a weekend, whereas they don't do midweeks for that, so they had to make up a game somewhere. A lot of matches to talk about. We're gonna come up with a best bet from each of the countries, and an ultimate best bet will be offered end of show. As always, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, please hit subscribe. If you're on Twitter, follow the real underscore G Warner. Follow me. Slide in to the DMs if you want. Really, whatever you'd like works for me, and we'll make it all happen. All lines quoted this podcast are courtesy of betonline.ag, my favorite place to get my bets down early. Reduced juices offered on almost every game you want to bet right up until game time. Please follow the link found in the podcast description to fund your account and use the promo code GW50 to receive a 50% match bonus up to $1,000. And we'll also go through with a 5-star review, read a recent one. But more importantly, let's get into the winners. So we're going to start in England because that's where all the money is. They keep buying every player that they want from all these different countries, and it kind of is annoying to see Bournemouth spending $30 million to get relegated and steal Traoré from Sassuolo, and no one in Italy can afford it. But I guess that's just the fact of life. That's the market that we're living in. That's the market situation. And now that I have the lines up, the first one to talk about is Newcastle hosting Southampton in the English League Cup. So Newcastle currently a 1.25 goal favorite. Over under is 2.5. And I played under in the first leg at Southampton. It was a 1-0 final victory for Newcastle. Don't believe that there are any road goal multipliers here. So Southampton, at the very least, need a 1-0 victory to force extra time. Newcastle, on the other hand, haven't allowed a goal in a long time, and are favored by a goal and a half here. Certainly a 0-0 draw will get them through to the next round, but I don't think they're going to be that comfortable with that type of scoreline or setup. They certainly can rely on their defense. I doubt Southampton get 2. So if Newcastle get 1, they're probably going through. They might not even have to score to get through. But Newcastle's defense is incredible. Their offense is, I think it leaves a little bit to be desired, especially for where they sit in the Premier League table right now. It doesn't really matter so much to the League Cup, especially because Southampton, I think, are league bottom. But Southampton, I've gone through, and they're added a new manager. They completely revamped their team, went really young. It's not been working very well. And now they have to go on the road to a really tough place to play where Newcastle's crowd will be insane. And I don't love that Southampton have to push for a goal to equalize, but I also feel like they probably won't be super aggressive for 90 full minutes or however long, 90 plus stoppage time, because they know that they have problems, and I don't think they'll be that naive. They do need to score, and I think they'll probably extend to score late in a match. But I feel like Newcastle have done a great job this year of really preventing goals, and part of that is they take leads and they kind of squeeze out the rest of the game. They're certainly going to be running at Southampton, and trying to score as much as they can. Like I said, 1 goal is probably enough. I don't know that I like Southampton here. It's oftentimes nice to have an underdog that has to win a match because they can play for that draw, the favorite, and then that won't cover the spread. But I do think that Newcastle wins this match at home. I think it's very unlikely to see Southampton doing it, but I think that the goals will be really hard to come by. Cup matches seem to be that way in general, and just Newcastle is a big favorite. I don't really. I respect them as a team, and I would love them as an underdog. I still don't think that they're a great favorite. So under 2.5 in the Newcastle matches is certainly where I'm leaning in that one. Next, we have Manchester United hosting Nottingham Forest. This one's pretty much over. Manchester United with a late goal to go up 3-0, 2 in the first half. So maybe the over was deserved, but the brutal outside of the box 89th minute, like send the match over the total. Don't love those, gotta say. And I feel like I've been dealing with a ton of bad beats lately. It's been a really nice month, but the last week or so has been brutal. At least matches I thought I was winning that I lose at the end. Manchester United, a 1.25 goal favorite, which seems about right for where the lines were last time. If you just add a half of a goal, reversing home field advantage, because I think Manchester United closes a 3/4 goal favorite, maybe a 1 goal favorite on the road. Nottingham Forest have to go in there guns blazing and score a ton to switch this over. I do think the Nottingham Forest won't just give up on this match and think that they'll go into it and think they can get to 3-3 aggregate with a 3-0 win on the road at Old Trafford. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't think they'll give up on that, especially because, I mean, they're in the semifinals, so they're not giving up that soon. I think pragmatically or just really worrying about their status in the Premier League would be a great idea, and that Nottingham Forest should just play backups here, knowing that it's basically gone already, but I don't expect them to do that. I do think that helps with an underlean that I have in this one that I did in the first round that lost, but it's jumped a little bit now to 2.75 juice to the under. And I don't know necessarily that I think Manchester United are going to have trouble scoring, which is a problem because I think the last 2 matches they played, which has happened twice, they played the same venue, I think right after Christmas, and lost 3-0 there. Another one where a goal was disallowed, which could have made it 2-1 and made it a little bit closer, but ultimately not a great sign for the Nottingham Forest defense because they've at least given up 2 goals before the 89th minute in both of those matches. So I don't necessarily believe in Nottingham Forest to get through here. They have to push, play aggressively. A lot of things that don't really look good to backing Nottingham Forest here, nor backing that under, because I just don't think that Forest are really strong enough to go in there and win. So now I'm going to move to Spanish La Liga. I guess the best bet from England, I'll do Newcastle under 2.5. But we have Wednesday and Thursday matches, Real Betis hosting Barcelona, and then Real Madrid hosting Valencia. Both these, or all 4 of these clubs were in the Riyadh, Saudi Arabia Supercopa de España. Real Betis currently a 3/4 goal underdog at home to Barcelona. Over-under is 2.5. Real Betis, they haven't really been getting a lot of respect from lines lately or from odds makers from the marketplace. I don't know if that's necessarily because their goals have dried up. Their defense is never really that incredible, but it's serviceable, especially for a European contender in Spain. But Barcelona's offense is, I mean, the best in the league I think by far. Their defense is not, but so I think there's some opportunity here for both of these offenses to get right a little bit because Barcelona has a great offense. They're not playing the best defense in the league. Real Betis doesn't have a great offense, but it's okay. And they're playing a pretty porous defense considering where Barcelona sit top of the table, which makes it really hard for me to want to play an under here. So I don't think that that's a lean for me necessarily. When I move to the side and looking at Real Betis at home in the Benito Villamarin will be a crazy awesome venue. Been there and it was really cool a couple seasons ago. Kind of want to go back, get another cigarette thrown at me, but because I thought I was German. Anyway, I tried to wear my Real Betis colors, but clearly my complexion doesn't fit in very well in Andalusia. But when I look at this one, if Real Betis climb to a 1-goal underdog, get that full +1, I think I become a lot more interested. That protection is kind of important to me. I don't necessarily believe that Barcelona are the juggernauts they used to be. They've been through obviously a big time lull and then climbing back to potentially winning La Liga again finally after I think a 3-year hiatus. But ultimately, they still aren't a great defense. I don't think their offense is great either. I mean, Lewandowski is really a great finisher, and I mean, it's shown how much he's been being missed at Bayern Munchen. But ultimately, he's also kicking the shit out of people lately. Excuse my French, and like deserves yellows. And like honestly, the red he got, I think he deserved as well. The weird like suspension that they like protested didn't make sense to me. There's a lot of things about him that I'm not sure. Like he seems to be getting a little bit ornery in his old age. I mean, he's like my age or younger probably, so it's not that old, hopefully. But I don't necessarily like Pedri scoring tap-ins that are big mistakes, and that's what's winning Barcelona matches. Things are going well for the momentum is there. I just don't think they're playing that great. So Real Betis, if they get the +1, will be an interest for me. Now I move to Thursday, Real Madrid hosting Valencia. Currently, Real Madrid a 1.25 goal favorite. Over-under is 3, juice to the under. That's pretty high total, I think, for Real Madrid matches that really Real Madrid haven't shown that they want to score goals at all lately. Karim Benzema is alone on an island, it seems. Vinny Jr. hasn't really had a great season. Hard to follow up because he was really good towards the end of last season. And who knows the World Cup and what that does to your psyche, your strategy, your health, all that sort of stuff. And he does take a lot of fouls, to be fair. But Valencia on the other side, a younger team under Gattuso have been improving, but this is a huge class difference where Valencia are basically built to beat bad teams right now, I think. Playing defense is not going well for them for a while. They've been trying to choose different center back pairings to try to get their defense better. Diakabi was out of the team and then all of a sudden was in the box getting assists in the run of play in their last match. So I don't really know what Valencia is doing. I don't love that is happening and they're going to have to go to the Bernabeu and play Real Madrid, though that place hasn't been as much of a fortress as it had in previous seasons this year. Certainly the motivation's there for Real Madrid. They can't drop points. They have to win this match. They have to keep up with and stay on Barcelona's coattails and eventually try to get a win when they face each other again, though it didn't look very good in their match in Saudi Arabia. But venues change, all that sort of stuff changes a little bit. Valencia, I mean, they're getting more than a goal, so all they really need to do is hang around till the end. The problem is Real Madrid are great at scoring goals late. I think it's part because they wear you down, and that's something that you don't really see on tape or when you're watching the game live, but I do think that does matter as you get through an entire match. I don't trust the Valencia defense to really even keep a Real Madrid offense that's been quiet for a long time quiet. So, and Valencia, can they score to cover the spread here either? I don't know. I feel like Valencia are a team I really want to go against right now, unless they're somehow a bigger underdog than they should be against a team but who are they underdogs against? Because they're better teams that I don't even want to mess with anyway. So, not a lot for me, I guess, in these two matches. I think I lean to Real Betis getting that 3/4 of a goal right now. I would love for them to climb up to a +1. I don't know when that's going to happen, though, honestly. So we're going to move now to the DFB Pokal, which we have 4 lines up for that one. I think there's a lot more matches, so I might have to guess on some of these. Yeah, this is around a 16. So I guess we'll go what we got. I'll give you my projections for the others, and we'll play. Let's see how far off the real underscore you Warner can be. So on today, Tuesday, we have a match in an hour. Paderborn hosting VfB Stuttgart. Currently, Paderborn a 1/4 goal underdog with all the juice. Over under is 2.5. Paderborn has been out of the league for a little, the Bundesliga for a little while, and the Schweizer League, the second division. Nice of them to get a home match, and they're facing a Stuttgart team who are basically their new manager, Bruno Labbadia, said they can't park the bus. They have to play aggressively. I don't think that's a bad thing here for Stuttgart because they're a much better team than Paderborn. They're dealing with injuries, suspensions, a lot of things in that area. Their defense doesn't seem great. They can score goals against teams like Paderborn, I think, but not necessarily against the best of the best. I don't know necessarily that Paderborn interests me because it's hard for me because I don't follow the Schweizer Liga. I don't think that they're really around the promotion places they could be, but I'm not actually even willing to look that up on this podcast. I expected Paderborn to be a bigger underdog. So there is some respect from the marketplace, but and also I guess I lean to over, if anything, on this one, just because despite a cup match usually playing tight, I feel like there's a good chance that neither of these teams play much defense. And once the game, someone gets a goal, it's going to get a lot harder for whoever's trailing, and they're going to have to push forward. I expect full lineups here because there's only one cup competition in Germany, and that's a big deal to try to get a trophy. Not really realistic for either of those two clubs, but I think they'll be fighting for it. Next, we have Union Berlin hosting Wolfsburg. Union currently a 1/4 goal favorite. Over under is 2.25. And Wolfsburg are basically playing better than anybody right now until they lost to Werder Bremen this weekend. They'd been leading the form table in the Bundesliga, had been awesome going into the break, then thrashed Freiburg, which was really surprising and awesome for them. Smashed Hertha Berlin as well. Finally dropped the ball a little bit with Werder Bremen this weekend, but I still like them a lot. They're juiced right now in that quarter. As I said, a little bit of juice to the under. It's a tough place going into Die Eisernen, the Irons, as you call it, in the eastern side of Berlin. Union Berlin, I mean, they're a great team. They have a great manager. They have a great collective spirit, but they keep getting picked apart. I mean, they just sold Julian Ryerson over the break to Borussia Dortmund. They're not exactly healthy and stocked with financial resources, which is a problem for them. I think Wolfsburg are a better club. I don't love that they're going on the road to a really tough place to play, but I think there's a good chance this one goes to extra time. I like Wolfsburg getting that quarter of a goal. And I guess I lean to under 2.25 as well, which does also make my underdog lean feel a little bit better because I don't really want to see a ton of goals scored if I'm backing an underdog, especially on the road. But ultimately, those goals could be scored by Wolfsburg. Their defense has been great. I expect them to play full lineups. It's probably something you want to wait for because you never know with the cups. But I think Wolfsburg are deeper. They have a lot more resources, a lot more finances. And Union are really just going to have to survive a crowd or really play to a crowd that might give them a huge benefit. But ultimately, as a favorite, I think that's asking a lot for them. Now, moving to Wednesday, we have RB Leipzig hosting TSG Hoffenheim. Currently, Leipzig a 1-goal favorite with all the juice. Over-under is 3, also with all the juice. So expecting goals in this one. Can't blame them because Hoffenheim have not really shown any defensive chops for years now. The Hoffenheim goals have been drying up. They're kind of looking over their shoulder at relegation, which is not great. Meanwhile, Leipzig are fighting to win the Bundesliga and actually challenge Bayern München for the first time in God knows how long. 10 years, I think it's been since someone else has won, but the challenges haven't really even been there. Leipzig are doing it. Marco Rose has taken over a team that was really good last year, had a really tough start to the season. And then he's brought them back as like a phoenix out of its own ashes. But I mean, I'm not sure he's done that much. It probably could have been done if Tedesco had been given more time or more of a chance. But Leipzig seem to do this every year. They sack their manager halfway through the season and then they turn it up later in the year. It's just rinse, wash, repeat. Hoffenheim are really not a team I want to back right now. Going into a really tough place to play. I don't necessarily that the atmosphere when I went to the Red Bull Arena was that incredible, but also was a national team match. So maybe that's a little different. The Hungarians were way louder, but I guess that's probably what they do. Shout out to the Magyars. They're awesome. I love them and want to go to a Hungary match every time, every day of my life, really. Anyway, back to this. There's not enough for me to back Hoffenheim here. I think I lean over, if anything, but tough to see more than 3 goals in a cup match. Tough to rely on that. Tough to have that be my livelihood on the line for that one as well. Next, we'll move to Mainz hosting Bayern München. Currently, Mainz a 1.25 goal underdog at home. Over under 3.25. I don't believe in Bayern and what they've been doing really. And I gotta say, I'm just not really. I trust Bayern to turn it around. I don't know that Nagelsmann is the guy for them ultimately. I don't know that this also necessarily matters because the expectations are so high. They essentially have to win every match to get any sort of credit. Mainz are going to play really aggressively, really physically. They've been starting a different strike partnership. I don't know if Jonathan Burkhardt is hurt or is moving somewhere else because he hasn't really been around. That's been a problem for him. But Connor Monasiwo, and they also, just as a team, looked really good this weekend, but they're playing the lowest budgeted team in the Bundesliga at home. So what would really we take from that? Also, I guess I lean to Mainz getting the goal in a quarter at home, but I don't really love fading Bayern unless I feel like my team can win or at least can really challenge them. I don't necessarily think that will happen. I think it's going to be Mainz hanging on for dear life, trying their best to play a low block, beat the you-know-what out of Bayern München, and then just hope that that'll do enough to keep the ball out of the net for as long as possible. That's a tough thing to hang on to for 90 minutes or so. So I guess that makes me lean under 3.25 a little bit, but ultimately once Bayern starts scoring, they score a ton, and Mainz are going to try to win this match, of course, and also once they fall behind, they're going to be going all out to score because they have to do that because this is a one-off cup tie. From here, other, I guess, numbers, Sandhausen hosting Sports Club Freiburg, I have Sandhausen a half a goal underdog with a lower total in the like 2.5 range. I don't really follow Sandhausen at this point. Freiburg have not had a great return from the break, but should be a team that will be going the other way, I think, sooner rather than later. Maybe why I don't see lines for these is because there's a lot of games that are with smaller clubs. I've Eintracht Frankfurt, the 1.5 goal favorite over under 3 to Darmstadt, a lower league team. Nuremberg hosting Dusseldorf. I have Dusseldorf a slight favorite on the road, but I could be wrong about that one. And then the last, but not, I guess, over under 2.5 on that one. And last but not least, I have Bochum hosting Borussia Dortmund currently, and that's a derby in Western Germany. Bochum plays so much better at home. I have them as a 1 goal underdog. It feels a little short now that I'm reading that. Over under I have right around 3. That's going to be a fun one to watch. I don't know that necessarily Bochum are a team I want to back in that scenario, but at home they certainly are. They've given Borussia Dortmund trouble, and Borussia Dortmund's defense is just not something I'm really afraid of, and honestly would like to go against. Is there enough there for me to go on Bochum? I'm not sure, but sex, drugs, and VFL, that banner will certainly be there for that match, and I'm looking forward to at least giggling when I see that. For my best bet for Germany in the DFB Pokal, I'm going to play Wolfsburg getting a quarter of a goal today against Union Berlin. I don't think I have any. Well, I guess did I see? Well, I don't think I've done Coppa Italia, so that's where we're going now. A little bit out of order, my bad, but here we are. Okay, Coppa Italia today. We have Inter Milan hosting Atalanta. Currently, Inter a quarter goal favorite at home with all the juice. This was a half of a goal last night. Over under is 2 3/4, and I'm looking to back Atalanta here. I think that it would be really nice to get that half of a goal, because when it goes to extra time, you win a full bet as opposed to half of one. I don't think it's impossible to see Atalanta go in here and win and beat Inter Milan, but tough to go into San Siro and get a victory, though Inter have not looked great lately. They had a pasting of AC Milan, who's been like looking worse than anybody right now, especially from a former Scudetto champion or Scudetto winner of last season. Inter, they're going to play aggressively, offensively, and so will Atalanta, which does worry me that goals won't matter as much, especially if you're getting less than 1 and on the road. But I feel like it's a match that Atalanta go in and win. I think I lean to over 2 3/4 as well. Just because, especially after watching what Atalanta did to Juventus, which they have really good record against Juve for some reason. But they were playing a wide open game, which Juve never plays. Inter Milan want to play that match, or that style of match. So I think this is going to play well. There's going to be a really great watch today, Tuesday afternoon, here in the US. But it's one of those where I think the dog is really live. And so I like that quarter right now, but hopefully a half before it kicks off. Moving to Wednesday, Fiorentina and Torino. Fiorentina a half a goal favorite at home. Over under is 2 1/4. So not expecting as many goals here. Fiorentina with a great comeback in their match this weekend. Torino, same story. Also, they're 2-0 down, got a draw from Empoli as a road favorite, so it didn't work out for them. I guess against the spread, but still important for them to get a point from looking dead with 10 minutes to go. Fiorentina's offense is not something I trust. I could say the same about Torino, but Torino are the underdog here, and a draw going to extra time gets me all the money and potentially gets them through the next round. I think it's going to be a tough for either of these teams to score. I think it's going to be a true, like, gritty, physical, not a lot of goal scoring cup match. I think that really plays well for an underdog, and also that under 2 or 2 1/4, I guess, instead of TOO. Roma then hosts Cremonese in another Coppa Italia match. Currently, Roma a 1 1/4 goal favorite. Over under is 2.5. And Roma took a pretty tough loss this weekend against Napoli, but were ultimately in that match the whole time and made it really tough on what looked to be the Scudetto winners at this point, with a huge lead on everyone else. Currently, I think Cremonese, it's amazing they're alive at this stage of the competition. I doubt that they will continue on. It's really hard for me to trust them to hang around here, but I imagine they're going to do all they can to try to keep Roma off the scoreboard, which does make me like that under 2.5, because I just don't think Cremonese are going to be likely to contribute. The Roma defense has been really good. I also feel like under Jose Mourinho, finally they're playing his style. And there should be a response to giving up 2 goals to Napoli, though that is the best offense team, everything in Italy in Serie A this season. Cremonese, as long as they put the right number of men in the wall, considering they gave up a match to Juventus right after the break because they didn't have the right wall set up, which is like criminal from a goalie's perspective. But lean to under, I think, as strongest one in that one. And then last but not least, no line yet, of course, but I'll project it. I have Juventus, a quarter goal favorite at home to Lazio. Over under is 2.5 or so. Lazio got Ciro Immobile back, I think, as a substitute. That's huge for their offense. He's a monster, not necessarily like the best player in the world, but he matters a lot to getting that offense together and kind of, I think, adding some calm to the rest of the team and allowing Zaccagni and Pedro to really kind of run on the wings and not have to do much in the middle because he's distracting defenders. I don't really know what's going through the Juventus mindset right now with the 15-point penalty for the financial issues, whether that even is held up. I'm not sure, but they seem to have been playing differently since then. Losing at home to Monza this weekend, not a great start. Lazio, I think it can make this really hard on Juventus. I think that there's a good chance this goes to extra time. I think Lazio can win. I don't know what the deal is with Juve supporters right now because a lot of them like canceled their television subscriptions because they don't want to watch the team anymore because of the suspension and like some sort of protest. So I lean to Lazio if they're underdogs. I expect them to be on the road, but wouldn't be shocked if there's a pick 'em. That seems to be way too cheap for Juve at home. But certainly if I got a half, I'd be very interested. But I think that quarter is probably fairly likely. And last but not least, I'll go through Ligue 1, as this is, I guess, a pretty full episode today, considering all the leagues are playing. And of course, ultimate best bet and summaries of the 5 different countries we're talking about, end of show, as well as the 5-star review I'll read. So these are all Wednesday matches for Ligue 1. We have Angers hosting Ajaccio, battle at the bottom, 2 teams that look like they're getting relegated. Angers, a quarter goal favorite right now, over under is 2.25. And I have been looking to bet against Angers for 2 seasons now. I tipped them as a relegation team last season. It didn't happen, but it looks like they're far adrift right now at the bottom. And they've been favored a few times this year, and it's hilarious because they hadn't won in 11 matches the last time I had checked. Yet we're required to win according to the spreads, and that those are bets that I can't pass up, and I don't want to ever pass up. I lean to both Ajaccio and to under 2.25 here. It's very juiced, and I think I want to get that before it hits the flat 2. It's still a key number, so you push on that 2, but ultimately I'd like to win some if it does end 1-1 or something like, or 2-0. But either way, but I think Ajaccio, they're not a very good team. They're newly promoted that don't have much offense, but I think that caters to the under or plays the under even more. I think goalless is a real possibility. It wouldn't help either of these two clubs in their chase for staying in the league. But I also feel like that happens a lot where 2 teams are trying to get a win so badly and nothing really happens. Reims then hosts Lorient. Currently Reims a half a goal favorite right now. Over under is 2.5. Lorient coming off a big win in a local derby in Brittany against and over a much bigger club and more successful club, Stade Rennais. But I think Lorient jumped them in this table after that win. Huge for them. And was deserved. I mean, held on for dear life late, but we're up 2-0 and we're dominating for a long time. Rebs, on the other hand, have been playing a lot better lately. They changed managers after a really poor start. I miss Oscar Garcia because he made me a ton of money last year, but I don't really see where this line comes from. I got to say, Lorient, I mean, I guess I see it because everyone hates Lorient apparently and thinks they're trash, but all they do is keep winning. They're even money right now on half of a goal. I don't know necessarily I like the under as much because they've been scoring. They just sold Terrell Murphy to their striker who did everything for them to Olympique Gymnastique Club de Nice. So he's still in France, but playing for another team, and that sucks. But it looks like a loss that they're able to withstand. He's missed a fair amount of time this year, and really good performance. It's hard to put 2 of those back to back, especially after a derby victory that I'm sure they're celebrating quite a bit afterwards. But Reims giving half of a goal seems like banana land to me. Football Club Nantes then host Marseille. Currently Nantes a 3/4 goal underdog. I lean that way because I think that they now that they haven't had the European competitions to distract them and put them in a tough spot, their goals like kind of dried up when Rano Colomoni went to Eintracht Frankfurt, but their defense is still solid. They have a great spine. The problem is they're hosting Marseille, who have done a really great job of scoring a ton of goals wherever they play. I am very looking forward to Nantes potentially hitting a +1 here. I like that a lot more. I don't know that I guess I lean under because I think Nantes in a home stadium will make it tougher on Marseille to score, but I don't feel that great about that, which doesn't also pretend or point to the underdog very much. I think I like a +1 if Nantes get it. I'll play that. I don't know at a 3/4 if I will. Toulouse then hosts Troyes. Currently Toulouse a 3/4 goal favorite, over unders 2 3/4. Toulouse have not played well after a great start to the year. The Ligue champions looked like they were starting to lose a little bit of steam going into the World Cup break. Haven't looked great since then. Meanwhile, Troyes, who weren't expected to stay in the league, don't have a huge budget whatsoever, but they've been really competitive. I'm hoping that they also hit that +1. I feel like there's a lot of +1s I'm looking for. I doubt I'm going to get a lot of them, but even at 3/4 of a goal, I feel like based on how Toulouse has struggled, they do score goals, but I think Troyes have shown that they're a formidable opponent lately. I mean, they almost beat Lens on Saturday and probably deserved to, if not for a late goal they surrendered. I think over under with the way Toulouse play, they try to score a ton of goals. So I don't know necessarily that under makes a lot of sense to me, but I think Troyes can kind of poke some holes in Toulouse defense that really overextends. So I like that 3/4 of goal on Troyes. Lille then hosts Clermont Foot. Lille a 1 goal favorite, over just 2.5. All the juice is both to over and to Lille. So maybe we see 1 1/4, maybe 2 3/4 before this kicks off. Clermont Foot have been a really good underdog, I think, for a lot of this year. The market has not liked them, and they've been very competitive despite being low budget team. Lille have been way better than expectations also, so it's kind of tough. 2 teams outplaying their expectations in the same match. I think I lean to Clermont. I like them getting that full goal of insurance, considering I'm looking forward to all these other matches. I do think that I don't know what to say about the total, because I feel like Clermont, a lot of why they're so good is they get goals early in matches and they sometimes open the scoring and then hold on for dear life. But that's a big deal, especially if you're getting more than a goal or at least a single goal of insurance. Next, we have Monaco hosting Angers. Monaco, a 1.5 goal favorite at home. Over under is 3, juice to the over. Angers are not an offensive team. They're going to try to keep Monaco off the scoreboard as long as possible and maybe nick one to try to win, or ultimately probably escape with a draw. I don't like their chances too much, but and Monaco, they've been scoring a lot of goals, adding 17-year-olds, Ben Seguir, who's been awesome. That's a scary place to go into, even though the crowd fan base is not really that loud there. Montpellier then hosts PSG. Currently Montpellier, a 1.5 goal underdog at home. Over under is 3 1/4. And Paris Saint-Germain, it's really hard to say what their motivation is, but it happens to them every year. They're so much better than everybody. They should have a path to many goals against Montpellier. So I think I lean over, if anything, which is gigantic and probably is not something I would actually play. But Montpellier have some goal scorers in them. They have no defense whatsoever. So I'm just not going to get in the way of a PSG automobile, essentially, just telling them to please slow down with my Montpellier defense, which is a joke. Rennes then hosts Strasbourg. Rennes have been pretty up and down since they lost Martin Terrier. They're expected to win by a full goal here, which is something considering they're at home. I think they had the biggest discrepancy in points picked up at home versus on the road in Ligue 1. That's a good thing for them here at playing at home, but they have to win by more than a goal to beat me. I like what Strasbourg are doing, trying to climb out of the relegation window, but I don't like that pressure on them also. Rennes offense just hasn't really been good. Unfortunately, ever since Terrier went down, they've been kind of a selling club, and ultimately defense isn't perfect either. Strasbourg are not likely to put a ton of pressure on them because they haven't really been scoring goals this season. But I guess I lean to Strasbourg, but also to the under 2.5. I don't necessarily know that I see a lot of goals. Thing is that 2-1 you lose there, so maybe not that interested. More interested in just Strasbourg. Wolves then host Nice in a pretty big matchup near the top, or Nice probably not near the top, but or have the budget to do it and should be moving that direction later in the season under a new manager. Lens are a 3/4 goal favorite. The over-under is 2 1/4. And Lens at home are really scary to fade. I would love to get a +1 here. I doubt I will. I do think that Nice are going the right direction. As I said, Terem Malfi coming in is going to be huge for them to score goals up top. That's going to cause a lot of problems for Lens. I imagine he'll start right away. We'll see. They did just pay 30 million. That's a lot in French dollars at this point, or euros. I don't know that I necessarily like the under 2.25 here because Lens are going to be on the front foot trying to score a ton. I just haven't seen a lot from them lately that made me that scared of their offense. So I lean to Nice getting that 3/4 of goal most. Lyon then host Brest in the last match in France, and the last match we'll cover today before we summarize. Lyon a 1-goal favorite. Over under is 2.75. Stade Brestois are a defensive team that are going to try their best to muck things up and cause problems for Lyon. They don't really score a ton of goals. That's scary when you go on the road to Les Colnes, considering that Lyon are basically built to score goals. They don't really defend much, but Brest, I mean, they do have some offensive talent and attacking ability, but it's not really something I'm afraid of too often. So I think I lean to Brest getting that full goal of insurance, but I think I need more than that. Maybe it gets there. I don't know that I'm that much in love with fading Lyon. I like the idea to be against Lyon, but at home where they score a ton of goals with a team that's probably unlikely to score much is a really scary situation to be in. So we're going to get to this in a second, but I'll summarize the my best bets for each of the countries we went over. And of course, but now it's time to read a 5-star review. This is from Low on the Down Low. Listen and learn, ... and win. The real G_G Warner offers important insights and information that will help you make the right decision when it comes to wagers. He's a knowledgeable and trustworthy source for the lowdown on this sport. Thank you, Lo. Appreciate that. Of course, any more 5-star reviews, I'll be reading them as I get them. Thank you for those, as always. And I think it might be time for us to get into the ultimate best bet portion of the show. This is the real _G Warner on Twitter and on Instagram, which might be where you're seeing this. This is episode 164 of Betting the Pitch. And here are the best bets that I'm looking for this midweek. We have Newcastle under 2.5 in the EFL Cup. Real Betis getting 3/4 of a goal, though I'd love to get +1 at home against Barcelona. VfL Wolfsburg getting 1/4 of a goal on the road today. DFB Pokal at Union Berlin. Then we'll move to the Coppa Italia, like Atalanta getting 1/2 of a goal potentially from Inter, currently at 1/4, but I think we'll see 1/2 before this match kicks off today. And last but not least, my favorite from Liga is Lorient getting 1/2 of a goal on the road at Reims. So my ultimate best bet on this podcast, I'm going to go with Lorient, Football Club Lorient getting 1/2 of a goal on the road at Reims. I think they're one of the best teams in France right now, and they're going to win today. And that'll do it for this episode, Betting the Pitch 164. If you're on Twitter, please follow the real _G Warner. If you're on Apple Podcasts, would love a 5-star review. Same thing for Spotify. If you're on YouTube, please hit subscribe. And we'll see you again probably later in this week. College basketball stays hot. Just keep hanging around there, despite TJ Otzelberger last night just driving me insane. But those picks will be coming out. We'll be doing pregame stuff as well. But looking forward to talking to you all the rest of the week. In the meantime, have a good time. Be safe. Stay warm. If you're in Texas, good luck with whatever the heck's going on with our weather. But other than that, I think I'll sign off here and we'll talk to you all soon.